Are you struggling to find delicious, nutritious meals that cater to your health needs? At Hearth Meals, we believe food is the best medicine. We offer premium dietitian designed and chef prepared meals tailored to address high cholesterol, hypertension, PCOS, prediabetes, or type 2 diabetes. Healthy meals should be easy. Our meals are designed with the latest nutrition science, prepared ready to eat, and home delivered. Healthy meals should use real food. Our meals do not have additives or preservatives. We use organic, whole ingredients. Healthy meals can strengthen your body. Our clients experience several health benefits after receiving our meals while managing their health conditions. We deliver across Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Washington, D.C. Sign up today at www.hearthmeals.com using the promo code wellness01 for 25% off your first week of meals. That's promo code wellness01 for 25% off your first week. Health results are not guaranteed.
Meet your new go-to for a fresh and inclusive approach to health.
Wellness Rebranded is the pod where a dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist combine perspectives to help you redesign your relationship with food, fitness, and your feelings.
Whether we're serving up juicy stories, breaking down the latest research, or dropping practical tips, we'll leave you informed, inspired, and ready to take health-promoting action.
We get you because we are you.
We've joined forces because we know that health isn't one-dimensional, and neither are you.
Tune in for real talk that cuts through the wellness and diet culture hype. Stay for the laughs, the insights, and the feel-good vibes.
Welcome back, dear listeners. It's Tara here, and I am with Elizabeth and Maria today, and we are talking about how breaking the cycle of dieting in January starts now.
Drum roll, please.
The looks on their faces are like, oh, so expectant. So I feel like this is something that, as human beings, we don't often think in December about like we're going to be dieting in January. Like that's the overarching theme of society, right? Like January is for dieting, like duh, right? But
Sad when you put it like that.
yes, I know. And of course, as you know, we are not about that life. We don't want to encourage like massive diet restriction and all sorts of things like that, especially not in January. But breaking that cycle starts during the holidays. That's not something that has to wait forever.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe a lot of people have never thought about it that way, that it actually starts now, but it does, and here's why. Because the restrict binge cycle is powerful, right? When we restrict what we're eating, we're kind of priming the pump then to overeat and binge on the other end. And it doesn't and it is both like a physical manifestation of that and a mental manifestation of that. So psychologically, if in even in the back of your mind, even if it's not a conscious thought, but somewhere in the back of your mind, if you're thinking, I'm gonna I'm going to get back on track in January. I'm going to diet in January. Odds are you're going to overeat throughout the holidays. You're going to use the holidays as an excuse, again, probably subconsciously, or maybe not. It might be an act of rebellion, like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it now. I'm going to worry about it in January, kind of thing. But either way, you're kind of setting the stage to launch yourself into that restrict binge cycle. Only it's the holidays are about the overeating and the binging, and then the January is about the dieting and the restricting.
It's such a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
We're going to indulge in December and then, slam down the roller coaster of dieting in January. And I, for one, am glad to be off of that ride.
Yeah.
Like, that's not served me well in my life. And I actually enjoy just being reasonable during the holidays and then continuing to be reasonable the rest of the year.
Yeah, so I think in line with that. So the first step of getting yourself, if you relate to this, you're like, "Oh my gosh, yes, I am stuck in the January diet cycle and the December, maybe the December overeating January diet cycle." First of all, lots of compassion, you're not alone. Second of all, grab my intuitive eating starter kit because it's going to help you get out of that cycle. And third of all, know that the work starts now. The work starts now to even just recognize that that is a pattern that you fall into, that it is a cycle. Just take a step back and think about, does this apply to you? What are your experiences through the holidays and in January? And how do they make you feel? Maybe in December, you do have a little bit of that rebellious eating going on, or maybe you do have that subconscious overeating going on, not even intentional. And then maybe you do end up every January, you're looking for that diet, you're looking to cut back, you go to this sort of extreme plan. And if so, just think about it. Maybe in January, when your motivation and your willpower and your like, ugh, feeling from the holidays is all really high, it might feel good to do that January, cut back initially. But what does it feel like in February and March and April? And have you fallen into that trap and that roller coaster that so many people do of perhaps losing weight, but then gaining it all back or gaining more back? So, first, just take a step back and think about your patterns. Does this relate to you?
I think it's also really important to note that like marketing is insane this time of year. And we are getting the messages that we deserve to indulge right now and that we should be overeating and indulging because in January, here's all the solutions that the wellness culture has for you, right? So I think recognizing that we are being marketed to, heavily marketed to, is really important because once we notice it, we can choose to step back from it. I think so much of it is so, so, so subtle that we don't even realize like what we're being sold this time of year.
I would hardly call diet culture in January subtle, but I would call it normalized.
Yeah, totally. But even like the Christmas stuff, like we're not sitting here like being told, hey guys, overeat and make yourself feel terrible because you like binged on cookies, candy, whatever. But like that's what we're being sold to put in everybody's Christmas stocking. And, we've got like our Hershey's Kisses that are playing like, Christmas carols on their commercials and stuff, and it's just like around all the time, whereas the rest of the year we don't have that subtle marketing like that. You know what I mean?
So one thing I've seen that January brings is this, again, maybe unconscious goals or need to set up goals that sometimes are even goals that we haven't accomplished before, but is what everybody else is doing. So it's the goal that now I'm going to walk every day as my exercise routine, or I'm going to cut off whatever type of food completely. And then what happens, that we've talked about this before here, is the cycle of emotions that come with that. When 2 weeks, a month, 2 months go by and you didn't meet those goals, and then you feel like a failure, and then you want to start over. And then maybe it's because at the beginning you set up these goals that, didn't need to be there at, for how to say, in the first place. I've learned recently that rather than having these goals is the importance of me. What is my intention this year? Rather than break it down in so many specific goals that at some point they're gonna fall down the cracks and I'm not gonna reach them, is the intention. Okay, I want to be more active physically this year, or I want to watch my nutrition in a certain way, and then go with that. So there's room for me to have days that I follow it a little better than others. And like I've learned from Elizabeth, one Elizabeth woman I know, to follow that intention during the year most of my time, the most I can, rather than that pressure like, oops, there you go. You said no to no to this type of food, and there you are, January 7th already having it. And then the mentality is like, oh, okay, well, next time. And then that's where when we start stretching that goal that we even set for ourselves, and it's just a tricky land.
So much shame involved in it.
Yeah, totally. And I think you make such an awesome point that you can set intentions versus goals. But if you want to set goals, to be realistic about your goals. And I would say instead of making the goal about weight loss, let's say, which is obviously so common in January, set the goal about your actions. What do you need to do? How do you want to take care of your body, right? Maybe it is adding more fiber, or eating more fruits and vegetables, or making sure you get plenty of lean protein, or hey, I don't think I've done a very maybe I'm not supporting my gut health. Maybe it's making some changes around that, or adding in movement, right, as Maria gave the example. But so watch out for the to set goals around things that you can't necessarily control, so the outcome goals. Put your attention on your actions, make them reasonable, so don't fall into that trap of setting kind of unrealistic goals or fads or quick fixes, but more, I call it go micro instead of macro, a sort of play on everybody counting their macros. But what I mean by that is, yeah, go micro. Like, think about the small, simple things that you can do to take care of yourself. Like, that pick 3 things that maybe, or even 1 or 2, frankly, that you want to add into your life this month. I want to drink more water, and do that. Go micro.
We actually did an entire episode on that around this time last year. So if you need more help setting goals, go check that episode out because it was a really good one that helps you kind of zoom in on some of those little things that are going to be process goals instead of product goals.
You're always so good at remembering our past episodes. I'm like, I can't remember what we talked about 5 minutes ago, let alone this time last year. Um, But so, and then I also think part of getting out of the January diet trap is recognizing the harms of dieting and knowing the research behind it. That, it really, truly, the vast majority of people gain the weight back, often gain more of it back. So go do a dive into the sources you trust to get educated, that it's not you that it's failing every time, but these approaches don't work and there's reasons why. Get yourself informed about why that's a losing proposition from the start. And then something else that I think is like really, really, really important, can't miss step, is you should expect this to be very challenging. January is a triggering time for people trying to escape diet culture. Frankly, it's a triggering time for people maybe that don't even realize they're stuck in diet culture. But so have a plan, have a self-care plan for how you're going to support yourself and regulate your nervous system, which we do have just a recent episode on that, actually, because you probably are going to get triggered when you see all of those diet ads, when you see your friend who's, losing weight quickly. It doesn't matter that, like, she's probably stuck in the diet cycle. Your brain's not going to be thinking that in the moment. So what's your plan for feeling safe and anchored in your body during this time?
I feel like the new year, new you mindset is just so like shitty for preying on all of our insecurities and it's unsustainable. So like actively choosing to opt out of that, like you're good the way you are. You don't need a new you. We don't need a new you. You are good. You're enough. We don't need to buy into this whole thing where we have to be all changing all the time.
But if you want a new you in terms of, oh, I learned something and I'm going to apply this to my life and it's going to make it better. So bringing changes in your life, why can that not happen in July or
Yes.
September or March? I mean, why is it in January? So then the rest of the year, there's no chance for us to. I mean, what if I just wanna, by July comes and that's the month that I feel that I'm bringing all these changes and I like it and I'm designing a life that feels better for me. Doesn't have to be January. Even if from January to July I didn't feel it, then let it be July. You know?
You know what? I set all of my major goals in September. Like back to school, that back to school season, like refresh coming off of like hopefully like a fun, restful summer. Like for me, my like true year starts in September and we just work it all the way around. And January becomes almost like a non-issue for me.
And I'm gonna be even more honest. When these kind of things start for me, guys, really, is every single morning. And I mess up. And then the next day, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll yell a little less, or maybe I'll interrupt people a little less when I talk because I'm an interrupter. I know that. Whatever it is really every day because I don't want to put myself to an expectation. No, I'm just a human going around through life, figuring out what works for me, it changes and some things stay steady, but it's really like a daily thing. Right? Like it's just I don't know.
I also think it's I want to just acknowledge it is really, really, really hard and probably scary to get yourself out of the diet cycle, to think about breaking up with dieting, to shift your focus away from weight loss. It's freaking hard, you guys. I know I support people through this day in and day out, and it is hard. So one tip that I would share with you, if you're sort of like half in, half out, and you're feeling that fear, just know you're not alone and know that it's normal. And also, it doesn't mean that you can't move forward with breaking up with dieting and getting out of the trap. But maybe shift your focus and do some reflecting on what can you gain, right? We're so scared about gaining weight or, thinking about all the things that we can lose really by taking this path. But what can you gain? Maybe you're going to gain the ability. I was just chatting about this for a really specific example with a client the other day. Maybe you're going to get to go to a restaurant with your husband for date night and he's not going to ask you, "Hey, is there anything on this menu you're allowed to eat on your diet?" Like maybe you're going to have the freedom to go enjoy, a meal out without stressing and obsessing over what's on the menu. Maybe you're going to not have to count and track and measure your way through meal times anymore because you're going to gain self-trust. Maybe you're going to trust yourself to keep whatever food you want in your pantry and know that you can eat it in a way that feels good to you. Maybe you're going to be able to move your body and have fun doing it without feeling like you have to obsessively monitor how many steps you got in or feeling guilty or, like you're failing if you didn't get in that number of steps that day. You're going to reclaim the ability to move and enjoy it just for you and the ways that it could benefit you. Maybe you're going to, have less stress in your life or feel better physically when you're not stuck in all or nothing eating patterns. There's so much to gain. And I think that's a really important and helpful part of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think that was really great. Like, I loved that little soliloquy there. I feel all inspired. I'm not even sure if that was a soliloquy, but I liked it. But I was thinking
I
of
think that was Tara's way of telling me I talked too long.
it was not. It was good. You guys know it was good too. So I was thinking, like, while you were talking, like, what my practical tip would be, like, yeah, thinking about what you could gain obviously is a great one. I think of remembering during this holiday season that, like, all foods fit. I think that's really important. I also think remembering that it's like not about being perfect. Like perfection isn't the goal here. It's about being kind to yourself and doing things that help you feel good. I think I said this in an episode recently where I'm not telling people to like monitor their eating and undereat or overeat. I'm asking people to eat in a way that makes their body feel good. And I think a lot of times people just miss the point there and they go, "She's saying free for all, eat whatever you want." And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying all foods fit and eat in a way that's going to help your body feel good. Same thing. You don't have to like destroy yourself at the gym. You can definitely just like scale back and go through the motions if that's all the bandwidth you have to give. And this is why I love doing the fitness assessment so much. If you guys haven't heard yet, I'm offering fitness assessments that are like super comprehensive and it tells us like where your strengths and weaknesses are so that we can kind of like pare down your workouts to focus on what really matters to you so that you're not spending hours in the gym and you have a whole plan to follow. So if you want more info on that, it's in the show notes or reach out.
Tara, I love what you just said about all foods fit. And I want to create a little bridge into our episode next week. All emotions fit too during these holidays. So make sure you tune in next week because this is to be continued.
I love that little teaser.
do too.
And it makes us look super organized. We already know what's coming out next week. So my last tip as we wrap this up, and if you really want to get out of that, January diet cycle, is have a plan. Have a plan for you probably, or you may need some support, whether that means reaching out to someone like me or Tara, or, a friend who's going to exit out of diet culture with you, or talking to a therapist, or whatever that is, but have a plan. If you and I would love to offer you, as part of that plan, not only do I have that intuitive eating starter kit that you can get, but I'm also doing a free 5-day challenge in January called Discover Intuitive Eating. And I will drop the link and sign up. Let that be part of your plan. Come do that with me in January instead of dieting. I would love for you to do that.
Yeah, I love that you're offering that in January. It seems so timely. So, guys, I hope this helps you kind of exit that toxic cycle that we all go through.
Get excited about the way it can change your life. I mean, this is life-changing stuff. I don't think that is hyperbole to say.
Yeah, I agree. This is life-changing. I've not been out of diet culture for like that many years, and already I see like so much more peace and less stress in my life. So this is life-changing, and be excited about it. Hopefully it's not too scary for you. But anyway, fam, we love chatting with you today. Please reach out. If something resonated with you today, we would love to hear from you. We read all your comments, whether it's like reviews of the podcast or on Instagram, or if you message us directly. We love it, and we share it with the other co-hosts. So we love hearing from you guys. We love having the conversation. So please don't be a stranger, and have a beautiful holiday.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition, or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara DeLeon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.